I'm sure most people have figured it out, but we're here at the Lawrence Humane Society. My name's Riley. I'm the Community Caseworker Supervisor.
I'm Alina Alkelman. I'm the Senior Manager of Social Work.
So we work in the Pet Resource Center, and part of what we do is processing all the intakes, including strays. So right now we're in the height of kitten season, so we get up to 20 kittens a day. It's been slow the past week, but I'm sure we'll be getting more. And we're also fielding calls on people that have found kittens out and about and want to know what to do with them, if they should leave them be, if they should bring them in. So we're going to talk just a little bit about kitten care and what to do if you find a kitten outside. Do this here, yeah.
I'm your Vanna.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So it'll be pretty obvious if you find a kitten that's under a week old. Generally, they'll have their eyes shut. Kittens, their eyes don't open until about 8 to 12 days. Their ears are going to be folded down. Those don't pop up for another week or so, 2 weeks. Yeah. There's stages of them popping up. And they're not going to have any teeth. So at this age, the kittens are still bottle fed, preferably by mom cat, or if humans have intervened, then we're bottle feeding them. If you find a kitten and you are bringing it into your care, the most important aspects of care are bottle feeding. So that needs to be done every 2 hours at this point, even overnight. So if you take in a neonatal kitten, you're not going to get a whole lot of sleep for a while.
All the parents understand what we're talking about.
It's fun. You get used to it. They still need to be stimulated to go to the bathroom. So mom cats can show with wee wee here. Let me set this down. Oops. Hi, can you sit here? So a mama cat would lick their little genitalia, but if people are taking care of them, the best thing to do is to get just like an unscented baby wipe and just kind of rub their little butt until they do all their business for about 30 to 60 seconds until they get it all out. Sometimes they have trouble and you've got to give them medication like wee-wee, but normally it's pretty straightforward. At this point, kittens can't regulate their body heat either, so they have to have a heating pad like this one here. So when we get kittens in the shelter that are this age, the way we generally set them up is in just a cat carrier. So we'll get the heating pad and wrap it in a blanket, put it in there with one of these little fake moms. So inside of here, there's a little heartbeat going so that the kittens can lay on them. They can feel a little bit more comfort, but at that point they can't see, they can't hear, they're just kind of hanging out, being bottle fed, being stimulated, and then we'll get to 2 weeks. Oh yeah, so they'll have their umbilical cord too until they're about 5 days old. It'll fall off on its own. Okay, we're gonna hang out. Okay, so around 2 weeks old, this is when you can start to give the kittens dewormer, but you can identify a 2-week-old kitten. Their ears are gonna start coming up a little bit more. They'll be rounded like a little bear cub. They'll still need bottle fed and they'll still need stimulated. At this point, it's still every 2 to 3 hours. But at this point, they can still stay in that cat carrier also. The most important developmental thing is that their ears are coming up, their eyes are open, they're a baby blue color, and you can give them the dewormer.
Yeah. So it's safe to say that any kitten that you're going to find outside is going to have worms. Mom is outside. Worms are caused by fleas. If you're outside, you're going to have fleas. Best way to tell, especially if you're taking care of the kitten yourself, is to feel the belly. And so this little belly, can we see your belly? If this little belly is round and firm, there's worms in there. And it's not as gross as it sounds. They're not coming out or anything. They're just inside making them uncomfortable. So you can go to a vet, you can come to us, and we'll give the kittens dewormer starting in 2 weeks.
All right, my 3-week poster. Okay, so at 3 weeks old, they start to really look like little cats. Their ears come to a little point. Again, their eyes are open. This is when they can move to a larger cat carrier or something similar to this little guy down here. They still need heat, but they won't use the heat all the time. They can kind of wander away from it. They'll be up and walking around, kind of gaining coordination, but they're still not completely stable. They're not running around yet. And at this point, they'll still be bottle fed, and they'll still need stimulated to go to the bathroom. They should weigh between 350 and 450 grams. Is that?
So one important tool for kitten care is having a kitchen scale. So not, the human scales that we use, that's not going to be sensitive enough. So like a baking scale, Bed Bath & Beyond is your best source of kitten scales. So a baking scale, so you can weigh them in grams, and it's important to weigh them several times a day, before they eat, after they go to the bathroom. You want to see that they are increasing their weight every single day. If you start noticing decreases in weight, that's a problem. That's a sign that something's going on, and that's at that point in time to see a vet. Woo!
Okay, so at 4 weeks old, that's when they really start to play. At this point, they're going to have their canines and their little front teeth in. So they're not quite starting to wean yet, but they're going to start playing. They're going to start running around. A playpen like this is perfect for them. They can use the heating pad, but most of them won't stay on it unless they're sleeping. But at this point, really, they're just turning into actual cats and learning to hang out with people. So they're starting to socialize and learn how to be little cats.
So the best thing about kittens that small is that you can really have them. Let's wait for them to be done. Okay. You can really have them anywhere. They really don't take up a lot of space. Something like this, and of course, it's different. We work at the Humane Society, so of course we take kittens with us to work. But I used to work in an office building, and I would take, all you really need is a cat carrier or like a small, tub like this, something like that, because at that point, they're not getting away. They just need someplace to be warm, to be fed, to be stimulated, and that's it. It's really low maintenance. The main thing is just that you'll be getting up every 2 hours in the middle of the night. And at 3 weeks, it goes to every 3 hours, and 4 weeks, every 4 hours. So it gets better.
Also, the best part of 4 weeks old, that's when you can introduce a litter box, which is fantastic. They won't fully be using the litter box yet. Wee Wee down here started peeing in it on his own around 4 weeks, but you can stimulate them while their feet are in the litter box, so they can just get used to that, just the feeling of litter on their paws while they're doing their business.
It's also pretty common for kittens as they start pooing on their own. They're horrified. They're just like, what is going on? And they scream as they're in the litter box, like looking back, like, oh my God, oh my God. Totally normal and really cute. All right, so 5 weeks. At 5 weeks, they are little predators. And again, there's all kinds of ways to take care of them. So if you've been wearing a sweatshirt with the hood in the back, you've been wearing a sweatshirt wrong. Best way to wear a sweatshirt, hood in the front, kitten right in it. It's like a little pouch or a little all marsupials. So at this point, the kittens are weaning. So about 5 weeks or so is when they start to transition to slurry. And slurry is a mixture of formula, water, and wet food. And it's best to get the kitten wet food. It's higher calorie, it's more nutrients that kittens need, more protein, better designed for them. Those protein shake bottles are really good to mix that up. And then you can just kind of put it in a little bowl. And all kittens are different, and the most important thing is to meet kittens where they're at. So, you can introduce slurry to them first by kind of, maybe like dipping a finger in it and letting them taste it. Some kittens will go straight to it. Some kittens are going to say like, nope, don't want it, I want formula, I want to be bottle fed as long as possible, that's fine. Only thing to watch out for at that point is that they have teeth. So if they bite the nipple, they could ingest it. So just watching for that. But a lot of kittens will want to be bottle fed until they're like 6, 7 weeks old, and that's fine. And some kittens will say no to the slurry and just want wet food, and that's also fine, as long as it's kitten wet food. And you can try different kinds. Kittens are surprisingly picky eaters, so just figure out what works. So at this point, they can start eating on their own. They're going to the bathroom at this point, should be on their own. A lot of litter boxes will be still too big for them to climb into, so something like this is perfect. And if you ever need that, we have a ton at the Humane Society. We're kind of drowning in them. So yeah, at 5 weeks old, they're starting to socialize. They're starting to play. We can go on to 6. They're still easy to take to work. They still can't get away. And so then at this point, they're ready to graduate at 6 weeks out of this thing. And so the best thing is to get them a small space. So like this is my bathroom. It's a small space where I can close the door, where I can, I know where they are. Always watch out for areas where they can hide. So you don't want, for them to be able to go under a bed, then you can't get them out. Or in my case, I learned that the base of my toilet is hollow. So when I had some feral kittens in there who didn't want to come out, they all hid in the toilet base, and we had to put on some falcon gloves to get them out. So always watch out for little traps that you didn't even know were there. But this is a way, they have a soft space, they have a litter box, they have food, they have something cozy to eat, and then they have some scratchers, because at this point they're starting to scratch, and you want to encourage the scratching behavior, because the younger that they learn to do it on an appropriate subject, the less they'll do it on your furniture. So they're playful at this point. You can start introducing toys. Most important thing is to introduce appropriate toys. It's really tempting to use your hands because, it's small, it's cute. Like, what are they really going to do? Except then they grow up and then they start doing that. And especially if they're your fosters and then someone adopts this kitten, that it becomes a cat that's used to attacking a hand. So getting wand toys or getting it's really important to have a variety of stimuli and a variety of kind of sensory experiences for kittens. So crinkle balls, soft felt things, the scratchers, the little wand toys, as much as possible for them to experience different sensory experiences. And so at this point, about 6, 7 weeks old, it's good to start leaving out some dry food, some kibble, leaving out some water. They will figure out what it is. It'll take them a little bit of time. The most important thing for water is to make sure that it's a shallow dish, that they don't drown. And they'll be really awkward about it at first, and they'll be kind of like birds, like pecking their faces in and being horrified with the results, but they figure it out. Especially as they are lapping slurry, they'll also then start figuring out lapping water. They'll be playing. So, and then especially, it's one thing if you find a kitten or you start fostering a kitten that's really young, like with Wee Wee, he was, how old? 4 days old when Riley took him. So he's been with humans this whole time. But then, what if you find a kitten that's 5 weeks old, 6 weeks old, and has never been around a human? So then, some kittens will be a little hesitant at first and will absolutely then just love humans. They'll get over it real fast. But then other kittens will be horrified. And they're still up until about 12 weeks or so, they are still malleable. You can still socialize them. And the best trick in the world is chicken baby food. Gerber's gets a lot of money from shelters because we get a lot of chicken baby food that you offer up on a spoon. You kind of offer it far away, As they start eating it, it's completely irresistible to kittens. I don't care how much they hate you. And then as they start eating, you pull it closer and closer and closer. And then the goal is to start petting them as they're eating it. And next thing you know, they're going to associate you with that good stuff. And so at that point, you're able to kind of force the cuddle. Yeah. And then 8 weeks. By 8 weeks, and this whole time that you have kittens, you're weighing them. You're making sure that they're getting bigger. And at 8 weeks, they should be 2 pounds. So a good way to measure it is that at 4 weeks, they should be 1 pound. At 2 months, at 8 weeks, they should be 2 pounds. And at this point, they're big enough to be spayed and neutered. We start giving them all of their vaccines at the shelter at 4 weeks old. So we do we start giving them a little bit of Revolution for fleas and ticks, and then we give them the FVRCP vaccine, which kind of protects against feline leukemia and all kinds of other illnesses that cats can get. And especially with kittens in the shelter, we do the vaccines every 2 weeks because we need to boost their immune systems. If they're in your home and they haven't been anywhere else, it doesn't have to be quite so frequent, but they do need several rounds of vaccines. And then at 8 weeks, at this point, we do the vaccines, we get them fixed, and in our case, we get them microchipped and get them adopted. They're still too young for rabies vaccines at this point. We can't do that till 4 months. But at this point, I mean, you see, like, these are little cats. Ears are pointy, ears are up. They are full-on little predators. It is also the best thing in the world to have 2 kittens because they will learn at least 2 kittens. They will learn social cues from one another, and so it'll be easier on your furniture, on your hands, in every aspect if there are multiple kittens, or for singletons if there's other cats in the house. So one thing also to think about is at what point you socialize the kittens and you introduce them to other animals, and you always want to have a 2-week quarantine period, which we all know so much more about now. So you want to quarantine them. You want to make sure there aren't any diseases before you introduce them to other animals. And you want to do that in a careful way because Sugar does not like Wee Wee. She has no interest in him. She can't do a whole lot because she doesn't have claws, but she makes her distaste known. I have one cat who loves foster kittens, raises all the kittens as her own. She's the only one that's ever had kittens, so there's that maternal instinct. But at this point, they can go around other cats. They can go around dogs if your dogs are cat friendly, and they can be full-on cats.
Okay, so that's a little bit how to take care of kittens, how to tell their age. So we're going to talk about what to do if you find a cat outside. So there's a great method that the Kitten lady came up with. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her. If you ever have kitten questions, you can always call the Humane Society, or you can get on her website because it will tell you everything you ever need to know and answer all your questions about kittens. But
It's where our shirts are from,
right.
Kitten lady.
Yes, she also has great merch. So her method is called the CASA method, and we have little pamphlets here that go over the CASA method as well as just basic kitten development stages week by week. But the CASA method stands for condition, age, situation, and ability. So condition is basically assessing, is the kitten clean? Is it well fed? If that's the case, mom is probably around somewhere. You're not going to see her. She's going to come out once you're gone, but there is most likely mom taking care of her. If the cat is visibly underweight, if it's dirty, then mom might be there, but most likely that could mean human intervention. I get so stressed out public speaking.
Yeah.
I had note cards, but I promised myself I wasn't going to use them. Okay. So age, we went over that. If a kitten is under 5 weeks old and they're still nursing, it's best for them to stay with mom. So if you can figure out with the CASA method that mom is around, you should most likely leave the kitten outside. Now, if the kitten is 5 weeks to 12 weeks, that's prime socialization time. So that's when you can intervene, take the cat to the shelter. If they are a little bit hissy, we can socialize them, get them adopted out as house cats. Once they're 12 weeks and older, the best thing to do for them is TNVR, where you bring them to the shelter, you can give us a call and we'll schedule it. We fix them, we give them their vaccinations, we ear tip them and release them back into the community so that they can't procreate and they aren't being forced into a situation where they're not comfortable, because at that point they're essentially a wild animal, so they're not going to really like being in a house, and the people aren't going to like them being in a house either. So situation is the next one. That's just, is the cat in a safe situation? It's kind of a judgment call at that point. You can use the condition of the cat, but I mean, if it's really, really hot outside and the kitten's in the middle of the street, that's obviously an unsafe situation. But if it's tucked somewhere and it's nice and cool and it's in good condition, then it's probably in a safe situation. And the last part of the CASA method is just ability. So that basically means, are you able to get this kitten to a place where it's gonna be cared for? Like, I know you find a kitten outside and you want to take it in because it's sad to see a kitten out there all alone, but if you're not able to get it to a place where it's going to be safe, then it might be best to just leave it there or have somebody who is able to get it to a safe place pick it up.
And so in that regard, we always encourage fostering. We, especially during kitten season, need fosters. These kittens are too young and too small, and their immune systems are too underdeveloped to be in the shelter. Plus, we don't have any ones that stays there overnight. So kittens that need stimulation to go to the bathroom, that need fed overnight, we can't leave them overnight. That would be a death sentence. So we rely on our foster base to take the kittens home, to make sure that they're safe, that they can thrive, that they're cared for, and the more animals that we get out into foster homes, the more kennels we free up for more animals. So you're always welcome, if you find kittens, to bring kittens to us. You're also welcome to bring kittens to us and then sign up to foster them. So that way you're bringing the kitten home still, but then you have our assistance. We provide all the foster supplies. You provide the home and the love, and we provide everything else. We provide all the medical care. You'd be bringing the kitten back to us to get the vaccines, to get fixed, all of that. And then you're in our system, and then you can keep fostering more kittens. So we really encourage that, and then hope that impacts the ability part. The other part I'd mention is with what Riley said about kittens being feral. And then also, with mom, if mom's taking care of the kittens, and then the time comes where it's best to take the kittens in because they're in that crucial socialization period and they're at the point where they can eat on their own. But then you still have mom, and mom is going to keep procreating. She can have 8 to 10 more litters that summer, and that's a whole lot of kittens. So best thing to do in that case, and we can help with this too, is to TNVR her, to trap her, bring her in, we'll vaccinate her, ear tip her so that people know that it's an outdoor cat, and then spay her, and then release her. So that way she can live her life as she's comfortable, and she's not reproducing. So that way we can better control the cat population in the kindest way possible. And one thing, especially the Kitten Lady points out, is that this term feral, it's a spectrum. It's not that you are or you're not feral, in the same way that everyone is different in terms of their personality, in terms of their neural pathways. Feral is a spectrum. There are some cats that absolutely can't be around humans, and then there's some cats that are great social outdoor cats, or all the way back to social cats. So with all of these cats, there's no judgment about them being feral, about them being outdoor cats. There is some stigma around that, and we work really hard to address that.
if you guys ever have any questions or if you find a cat outside, you can always call the Pet Resource Center. We have some cards up here with our phone number. But yeah, like I said, the Kitten Lady's a great resource. You can always give us a call. We love talking about cats and kittens especially. So yeah, do you guys have any questions right now?